I would like be paid out in full. Like, I just owed him rental money. And so the whole thing backfired. I thought he was going to like work hard and like earn like hundreds of dollars. No, he didn't care. He ended up earning like $150.
Actually, what I thought
was a
you
lot
were
of
going to
money.
say, I thought you were going to say that he ended up hiring his little sister to do his chores.
God,
that would have been brilliant.
That would have been genius if he subcontracted. Yeah. God, no, my plan still backfired. But so I'm not sure that my 8-year-old has learned the value of delayed gratification. But
no.
I buy this research, though. I think it's really valuable.
Absolutely. And actually, I used to work at an agency with teenagers. And one of the things that I realized working with teenagers is that within this concept, a lot of teenagers are not as advanced as we think they are.
Okay.
With understanding delayed gratification. Like, with the kids I was working with, they had to have some kind of benefit from the behavior they were doing within a day.
Okay.
If it was longer than a day,
it's hard for them to think about.
It was hard for them to make the connection. I mean, they obviously knew, but the power behind that decreased, which isn't anything new. We know that. We know the longer the distance between the behavior and the reward, the decreased motivation there is.
So, I mean, how do you help somebody develop that? How do you what techniques or what kind of self-talk can a person be doing so that they can kind of get themselves into that zone and sort of sense that motivation? I mean, I remember whenever you and I, at our last job, when we were both first starting to work together, I was teasing you because you had like a box of donuts on your desk and you were just gobbling them down. And I asked if you wanted something from Starbucks, and like you were like, yeah, I want like a mocha like frap, and I was like, dude, that thing's like 600 calories, and so like you ate it. And I remember sitting with you in my office one day. You reach down, you pinch your stomach, and you go, yeah, this is getting a little too much. And I'm like, dude, I wish I had your stomach. Like, what are you talking about? You're fine. And you were like, nope, I'm going to deal with it. And like, that was it. Never looked back. Like, from the next day, you were like prepping your food and like working out twice a day and like counting all the calories and the carbs. And you were in it, like in it to win it. And, you're saying in a former episode, you've kept up with it now for like almost a year.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah,
That's delayed gratification.
I almost have my 6-pack.
Oh my gosh, do you really?
Close.
Wow.
Yeah, real close.
Does that mean you're going to start doing the podcast with a shirt on?
No.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I mean, I don't care.
That's going to be the Patreon reward.
That's the Patreon reward, is you get to watch Nick do the podcast.
$25 a month, bro.
And you can pay bonus to have Jim put back on his shirt.
So here's how I do it. For me, I reframe it. I use a lot of what we call cognitive reframing. Okay. So it's all about this language that we use to talk to ourselves, right? So I was actually, I walked by yesterday morning a whole case of donuts. And I was just like, oh my God, I wanted donuts so bad. And that craving just hit me so hard.
Yeah.
But the way I'm looking at it, when the craving hits, is this sucks. I can't have what I want, right? So instead, I have to reframe that message into something that's going to be more productive, which is, this is awesome. By me denying myself this, I'm overcoming this. I am gaining control. I'm gaining power over this. It no longer has the power that it used to have.
It's not, I want these donuts, but I can't have them. It's wow, look at me resisting these donuts. I've really gotten powerful.
Yeah, and I have to be able to reward myself. No one, because every day is a struggle.
Right.
But there isn't anybody who comes up to me and rewards me every day and says, hey, you're doing really good.
Yeah.
That doesn't,
nobody's going to pat you on
No
the
one
back.
notices that because the struggle is internal.
Yeah.
So I have to be the one to do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's all about cognitive reframing and giving myself positive messages and looking at, like, by me doing this, by me going through this, I come out stronger on the other end.
I think that makes sense, and I relate to that. Not so much in the healthcare side as far as like not eating those donuts. I will jam on those donuts all day long. But I've done that same technique professionally. So like the road into becoming a therapist is long and tedious, and there's no roadmap. People do not sit you down and go, okay, here's all the little checkers on the board here, and you just got to go through them all. You mostly self-discover, and it starts in doing a bachelor's degree, and then you have to do a master's degree, and then you have to, while you're doing that, do a 1-year practicum and internship where you're just slave labor, and that's on top of your regular job and on top of all the classes you're taking. And in my case, afterward there's 2 different licenses, and you have to go pay those guys and meet with those supervisors and take all these exams, and it's endless, man. And then the doctorate was a whole nother thing. For me, the way that I would sometimes push through the hard times, there were days when, you work your day job. I was a teacher, and I hate these kids and they hate me back and everything sucks. And then afterward, I have to go do student interning, and get back home and then write a paper, and you're getting home to cold food and cold everything. And it just sucks, and it was so discouraging. But I remember a way that I would kind of push through it is I would constantly kind of like talk to myself in the future. And that was kind of an interesting thing. I would imagine future Jim, and I would become future Jim, and I would thank present Jim for everything he's doing. And I'd say, Jim, this is Dr. Jim, licensed clinical professional counselor, licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor. Hey, man, I really want to thank you for what you're doing today, because it made my life possible. It made me able to help all these people. And you know what? You feel so equipped and you're so ready to go. And I would talk to myself in the present, and I would kind of yeah, it's going to be okay. I'm doing this for that guy. I like that guy. Right. I like future Jim. But it wasn't just doing it unnoticed. I was doing it for future Jim, and future Jim totally reflects on and respects me and remembers me well. So it was almost like my grandchild.
Yeah. So and
future
really,
me.
In a way, we're kind of doing the same thing, because if you're going through some kind of long-term process, you've got a long-term goal, and it's going to take you months or years to achieve this. If you delay all of the gratification to the very end,
right,
I don't think you make it.
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is you have to find little tiny nuggets of gratification
Micro
to kind
goals.
of throw in there,
just
to keep you going on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so in my case, it was self-congratulatory remarks. In your case, it was talking to your future self. Anything that we can do that's going to make it just a little bit rewarding in the meantime.
Yeah, I agree.
To get us through is going to be very important.
Another thing I've seen people do, and I can end on this, is I've seen people, like you just said, with micro goals and milestones. I've worked with a lot of college students. I teach at Arizona State University. And a lot of times they get overwhelmed by the big picture of how do I get to my degree? It's all these years of work. It's really, really hard. But what I have them do is I create what's called an achievements board. Remember how we do dream boards? It's kind of like that, except
no, we don't do
dream boards. It's,
you
remember how other
boards.
people do?
Yeah, I don't.
You know what? Don't hate on my arts and crafts time. They know me at Michael's. They respect me. But it's the same concept. You create a poster board, and then you take the big goal and you chop it into smaller goals. So it's not get the degree. It's defeat all the prereqs. And then you take each prereq, and then it's get a good first quarter grade. And then you take that first quarter grade and you say, turn in all my assignments. And these are little achievements that they're working for. And when they get it, they'll do something to recognize it. And they'll go to Michael's or whatever, or to Walmart, and they'll buy little plastic medals or field day ribbons. Yeah. And they'll post it on the board. And they'll be I did it. It's a little achievement.
Which is kind of funny, because stuff like that sounds very juvenile.
Yeah.
However,
it works.
It has, well, yeah. And we've talked about this before. My favorite example of this is Ohio State football.
Yeah.
When you do something really good at Ohio State football, you get a sticker on your helmet.
You get a sticker.
Right? I mean, it's that is the most juvenile thing ever.
But they'll do it, by God.
Exactly. But it works, because everybody wants to be the guy that's covered, got the whole helmet covered with these Buckeye stickers.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, so message to the listeners, create your own system of self-reward that kind of slices a big goal into smaller ones. But delayed gratification is, and research now supports, the number one quality that decides whether you're going to succeed or fail, whether that's monetarily or in life goals.
One thing that this research does explain, though, too, one of the limits is that this was correlation, not necessarily causation.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So more study is needed for longitudinal to really look at, those kids that have this, what happens to them.
I see.
Because it could go the other way too, where
Right.
if you are really successful, you've had to learn this. You've had to develop it because you had to do all the education.
You were taught on the path. You
Exactly.
didn't come preloaded with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just know that it tends to play well with success.
Definitely strong correlation. We don't know causation yet, but I think it's probably fair to say that learning these skills is not going to hurt you.
Yeah, you're not going to regret it.
Right.
Get those stickers, Buckeyes.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss how to reject a guy you're not interested in. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Hey everybody, our show is sponsored by our amazing Patreons at patreon.com/therapy. We have 3 levels of sponsorship, beginning with our $1 a month TheraPals, who are the official fan club of Pod Therapy and help make the weekly show possible. A TheraPal is an advocate for mental health, wellness, and sending good vibes to the people who write in with their problems each week. At the $5 level, there's the Therapods, who are the sophisticated and dapper 3-toed reptilian members of the fan club, who are fiercely clever and committed to making the world a better place for all sentient species. Finally, at the $20 a month level, there are the elite Theraproducers, who author the best of the best. They actually author ads for our show and share messages of encouragement, support, or plug their favorite projects. The Theraproducers care deeply about people having access to a show about mental health, and they shoulder the responsibility of producing it. At the end of today's show, we will thank our new Patreons with a special message. If you'd like to join the party to help make the show possible and tap into the special content for patrons only, you can go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's patreon.com/therapy. We're back. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Our next question is from somebody who needs help saying no to a guy.
How do I tell a guy I'm not romantically interested in him without seeming rude?
You just did.
All right, on to the next one.
Did you write this? Hi, Nick and Jim. I'm on a podcast with a guy. It's about therapy, but that's not relevant. He keeps talking about my abs.
Our listener writes in, a guy at the gym approached me and we got to talking. He asked if I was seeing anyone, and I said I haven't had a boyfriend in 3 years. Later on in the conversation, he asked me for my number, and I was too afraid to say no. I know, stupid. Now we are texting a bit about work. He keeps flirting, but I keep giving back platonic responses, but not enough to show him that I am not interested. How do I kindly tell him I don't want this? He genuinely seems to be a really cool guy, and I don't want him to waste his time or feelings like this just because I was too afraid to say no.
Yeah, I think that... this is sad.
How do you let guys down easy, Jim?
Yeah, I've never had this problem on either side.
You found one person who was interested, and you've been married now.
Yeah, I'm not even sure she was interested. Just took her to Mexico, married her. Like, there was no coming back from that. But no, I like this question, and I think it's something that I know lots and lots of females can relate to, especially in women culture. There is, I think that you kind of see both cultures at play in this, right? For men, they tend to be taught that, and I realize this has become a real problem now, where no means yes. And so now we're challenging that, and a lot of men are kind of needing to retrain. But in a more peaceful way, in the non-assaulty way, right. Men are sort of taught that, you need to make your interest visible, and you need to kind of be the one to initiate any kind of discussion and be flirty and be forward. In part because, for women, they don't want to be rude, and they don't always know what you mean. And so and also there's a stigma, women who are more flirtatious and more forward or more open get called names, by other women or by other people in society. And so a lot of men are sort of taught that they're supposed to lean in really until they get a solid no. And so, Nick, What I'm already hearing in this one is she's being polite, right? And she's saying, but I am interested in him as a friend. I do enjoy his personality. I enjoy palling around with him. But he's clearly flirting with me, and I'm trying to, signal that's a no, but I'm doing it in a friendly way. So, I mean, to the writer, off the bat, I'm going to tell you gotta be a little bit more direct, because men, as a general rule, they kind of need you to be that direct.
And I was thinking, I mean, I kind of had a little bit of a different interpretation of this. I got the sense that she wasn't really even that interested, even on a friendly level.
Okay. Well, she said he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, but, I mean, in the very beginning, he asked for her number, and she didn't want to give it.
Oh, right.